Welcome to the Legacy Moms 10-Minute Topic, a web series where a panel of moms from all life stages discuss issues relevant to Christian moms just like you. In episode 1, we are discussing what to expect and how to prepare for that first kid leaving home.
Hey everybody, we are here together just having a little chat, talking about what a lot of moms are talking about this time of year, which is kids getting ready to fly the coop and head off to college and start their lives. And it can be a little difficult when it's your first one. Michelle and I have both launched 2 kids already. Holly's got one going off, and these 2 are got a ways to go, but are preparing for it. So we're just going to have a little talk about how we prepare our kids for that and making sure that we don't walk away from them, leaving them in their dorm and feeling a lot of regret because we've let time waste away. Because I think we all have that feeling of, I have all these things that I want to do with my kids. You know, I want to take this trip, or I want to have this experience with them. But you kind of tell yourself, oh, we can do that tomorrow or another time. And there's that panic that sets in. And I think it sets in at different periods throughout where you go, time is getting away from me, like we're losing time. So can you guys relate to that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically from potty training on.
Yeah.
It just
right.
goes
yeah,
at
you're like,
hyperspeed.
things are changing. Right. I think sometimes the hardest, the people that have had the hardest time with it are the ones that have regret and realize we're going into a new phase, and it does change, right? I mean, it's a totally different experience with your kids once they're gone, and you've kind of spoken to that.
Well, I would encourage anyone, now that I have a college graduate who's married and a junior in college, and then have one more left at the house for one more year before I'm an empty nester, but I boo-hooed when the first one, I'm going to cry. Anyway, we got to edit it.
It's gonna
You would not be normal if you didn't cry. Right?
Because your normal will change, and it's a new normal. But I was talking to Holly about this. It is difficult, but what I thought was wonderful, first of all, was when my first one went to college, the other 2 roles kind of shifted. All of a sudden, my middle child became the older sister to her little brother, that they had always looked up to the firstborn, but now he was at A&M and away, and so it was a beautiful change I saw in my daughter, where she could really be a great example to her brother and kind of step up as the leader of the siblings and love on him and encourage him as a big older sister. And that was something that had not been there when they had an older brother. She hadn't developed really that role. However, now that 2 have gone off to college, as they left, and it's just difficult. You miss your children, but the quantity of time is gone. Obviously, you don't have them around the house as much, but the quality was so good and so rich, and I really found myself moving from the role of trying to train them and just coach them up and teach them everything that I could to help them be successful in college. It turned into now where I could see them just blossom and flourish in college, and when they came home, I was more like I got to be a friend and just sit, and the quality of conversation was not like we ever had before they had left. So I love it. I mean,
and our goal as parents is to prepare them to leave and to raise a kid that we want to be friends with one day. So I mean, when we keep that in mind, even though it's going to change, it gets hard. One thing that I think nobody prepared me for, and I never really heard anybody talk about, is the effect that it has on the younger siblings when that first child leaves, like with the dynamic changing, but also there's a loneliness with the kids that are left behind, and I wasn't really prepared for that. But that is something, if you have a child going off, to make sure that those sibling relationships are strong and that they're spending really good quality time together before they leave, because there is a sense of loss and grief for the kids that are used to being together, and now all of a sudden that older sibling, and we kind of always just, as moms, we're just really worried about how we're going to deal with it, and we forget about those younger siblings that feel a sense of loss as well. So that's,
And if you've been going to Legacy Moms for a while, you'll know we've taught those siblings to be best friends, and as much as they may fight along the way, I love seeing that in y'all's lives, that they truly, and I've seen that a lot with some of our other Legacy Moms, that they really become best friends. At that, I mean, I'm not there yet. Hopefully soon. I know mine will.
it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and hearing the dynamic change with the siblings, of course, I go straight to what kind of impact does that have on your marriage? And I think back to just the importance of making sure we do prioritize our families the way that the Lord would have us do it, and that's God first, then our spouse, then our children, because I think we do feel that sense of urgency as moms, and we recognize, like, oh my gosh, you blink and they're grown, like, how is this even happening so quickly? And I think it's really easy to take the focus off of our marriages. And so you guys, how has it impacted your marriages as far as just, or what kind of things did y'all put in place as far as a foundation so it didn't totally rock your world? Because you hear about this often, people getting divorced after 20 years of marriage because they don't know each other
I
anymore.
will tell you, it's, when you are an intentional parent and you put so much focus into your kids and building their character and spending time with them, and you're so involved in all their activities, there is a sense of grief when it ends because you feel like the fun is over. And I literally, when my second child left, the only daughter, I had been so involved in her life and her ballet, and I cried to my husband and I said, all the fun is over, because it really did feel like that. And you and I were kind of talking about how even our husbands, it's so involved with the boys and the sports. And, my husband experienced a real sense of loss because he lost his best friend. I mean, it was like all of a sudden my buddy that I do all these things with is gone. And there is a little bit of a shift there, and you have to rediscover each other and things that you want to do together because you've been so focused on kids, and you go, oh, like, you're my best friend. This is the relationship that's the most important.
Yeah. Well, and my husband is so good at being very intentional in our relationship, and having date nights and working on our relationship before we're empty nesters and not being blindsided by it. And having a hobby like golf is good too that we can do together.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
And to wrap up, several people have asked me, what is your number one piece of advice when your child is leaving? And it is, get a puppy.
And I'm shopping.
It fulfills